Actually up to a very unique moment because GenAI is basically going to change, even in a bigger way than the previous revolutions, it's going to change how we are interacting with our customers. It's going to change it in a very, very significant way. And before we're going into this change, what I want to say is that when you're doing your GenAI implementation, we are considering enterprise GenAI, you need to pay attention to 6 pillars. I'm going to cover the first 3, and Holly's going to help me with the other 3. The first one is the communication need to be personalized. The conversation need to be personalized and relevant. The second part, which is as important, is when we are having this conversation, real-time data is critical. Usually it's about something that is urgent, something that is hitting me right now. It's not just a general conversation about what happened long time ago. It's not a philosophical conversation. And the last part is that a conversation, like a human interaction, have to be with low latency. It have to be fluent. Sorry. So what you saw is a really good example to the fact that even if I stop for just 2 seconds of a conversation, it just looked bad, right? What is your experience with silent conversations?
You know, and the few times that I tried that with my wife, it ended extremely poorly. So definitely no on that answer.
So don't try it with your wife or in any other conversation in a bot mode or not bot mode.
Let me help with the next 3. Accuracy, it's not just about minimizing hallucination. It's also making sure that you have the right data at the right time. And that data has to be guaranteed from a governance and compliance standpoint and security, making sure that no one gets the data that they're not allowed to see or use. And if we're talking about enterprise-sized data, we're talking about enterprise-sized projects. And that means that the time to market and the total cost of ownership play critical part in project success.
Right on. So LLM is going to change the way we interact with customers in a very, very significant ways. And these LLMs have been built with a lot of technology. There is actually a depth of technology, but also it's based on a lot of data, right? Trillions of pieces of information that help build this data. But the LLMs are not complete. They're still missing some critical data. And what I want to say, it's not the fault of the LLM, because the LLM, just by default, at the minute that it is delivered to you, it is already outdated. It was trained on a specific set of data. And also most of the data that was used for training, if not all of the data, is really public information. It doesn't include your information. Now, some of you might say, okay, let's retrain the model, or maybe fine-tune the model, but these things are very, very costly. And also, they lose relevancy, or they lose the latest information the minute they're out. They are losing the latest information. So what the result of that, LLMs that give you the wrong answers, or the answer that were true for yesterday, and yes, sometimes, like for the original answer, it can actually have hallucination. Your data is the big difference to the LLM's success. Now, this is not necessarily new. RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, has come to actually address this problem and actually bring your data into the LLM. And we've seen that implemented pretty successfully for unstructured data. If you take documents or PDFs or emails or unstructured data of any type, you chunk it, you embed it in a vector database, this can actually bring your enterprise data into the LLM or the GenAI solution. But it is still missing your structured data, your application data, the data in your databases, the real operational data on which your organization is running. This is really critical data that is actually relevant in real time. It is relevant it is relevant if it is available immediately, but it's also a secret sauce. It's actually a lot of how your business is built on. So you want to keep security and privacy, and you want to actually control how this data is being shared with a prompt of an LLM. This is a critical part of the success of your LLM. The most critical data in your business is actually in these structured applications, in your enterprise databases, in your operational business data. Okay, So now, no hallucination, this is actually our time to basically introduce K2View AI Data Fusion. Big announcement for us today.
We're naturally extremely excited about this announcement. When I mentioned a couple of slides ago that the most critical element missing for a successful LLM is data. That's what K2View AI Data Fusion is all about. It enables you to get real-time access to your entire enterprise data across all the applications and the technologies and formats. And we do this by building something that we call business entities. Business entities are a business manifestation of your data. They're contextually 360 view of your business data across the entire enterprise. We start off by asking, how does the business want to interact with the data? In our demo, business is represented by an LLM-based support bot. So business is the bot, and the data that that business needs is customer data. So the context is a customer. In our case, the business entity is a customer. And we'll create a contextual 360 view of your customer data across the entire enterprise. Now, the secret sauce is really how we manifest this data. We take each one of the instances of your business entity, in our case, each customer, and we create a dedicated micro database to maintain and manage that data. So if your organization has 30 million customers, K2View the AI Data Fusion actually manages 30 million micro databases, one for each one of your customers. And this approach allows us to offer some very unique benefits to our customers. For one, we know how to keep this micro database fresh and up to date with all the data from the enterprise without putting latency or load on the underlying system. The other, we know how to produce data from the micro database when you're asking about it in sub-second performance. And that means that when the LLM needs data, not only does it get fresh data, it gets it in sub-second performance. And lastly, the micro database enables us to offer some very unique controls around governance, defining who has access and who's allowed to see the data in the micro database. So it might be that the end user is not allowed to see the data at all. It might be that they're allowed to see masked information, in which case we dynamically mask the data, or maybe they can see the real data. Let's see this in action. So our demo today is for a company called Elite Telco. They're using K2View AI Data Fusion to enable their support bot. A standard telecommunication company that offer internet, phones, and TV services to many of their millions of customers. One of which is David Smith, a long-term VIP platinum customer that is having a home internet issue. Now, his issues are not related to the devices of the house. It's actually two factors. One, he hasn't paid his bill for a while, and that's impacting his service. And two, coincidentally, there's an active network that just started in his neighborhood only a few minutes ago. So before we see what happens when we interact with an LLM that does have access through K2View to your entire enterprise data in real time, let's see what happens when we interact with one that does not. And we're going to start off by going to ChatGPT. This is our bot for today's experience. And we're going to represent David, and we're going to say, my internet at home stopped working. Can you help me fix me? Spelling mistake? Fix it. And I'm going to run this query on top of the well-known, magical ChatGPT. And what we can see, it's a pretty amazing answer. Meaning it tells you, hey, check your cables connection, restart your router. Wonderful information, but similar to how I completely missed the mark when Ronen was asking me questions before, this has nothing to do with David's issue. It's not personalized, it's not talking about the outages or the outstanding balances, just provide generic information which results in very poor customer satisfaction, and the next step would be for David to obviously ask to talk to an agent. So now we're going to take the exact same query, and we're going to run it across the Elite Telco support side, which is using K2View on top of the exact same ChatGPT API. So behind the scenes, it's the exact same LLM, only through K2View AI Data Fusion. And I copied and pasted the question, and we're going to run the exact same question. And now we're going to get an answer that is a lot more valuable, right? It actually talks about having outstanding payments and having an active outage. And by the way, what's the time? 6:47. So started about an hour ago. So recent information, up-to-date, personalized, grounded information. This obviously provides a much better experience to the customer. It doesn't necessarily need to go and talk to an agent. Now, as you can imagine, a lot had to happen behind the scenes for us to provide such a personalized and grounded answer. And it all starts with the data. Let's go behind the scenes a little bit and see how this looks like in the K2View data platform where we design the AI data fusion. We start off by creating the definition of our business entity, what is a customer. And we can see that we're collecting data from CRM here, and connecting it with billing information from DB2. The CRM is a SaaS application, and we're also including network management from Oracle, that's our outages. And we create a relationship of a customer data across the entire infrastructure, all the application, vendor, technology, and formats. And that enables the LLM to actually connect the data across the enterprise. Now, all of that is orchestrated and managed by a templatized, business-oriented designer that we call the orchestrator. And this is a template type of solution. So we have different templates for different industries and for different use cases. And in our case, telco has chosen to use Elite Telco has chosen to use our telco template and customize it for their own need. And the orchestrator manages the entire backend communication between the customer, the LLM, and the data. Now, what traditionally is made through tens of thousands of lines of code, for those of you who have implemented RAG before, you know, many, many lines of code. Here, it's a business-oriented, drag and drop type of interaction with the data, very visual, very easy to implement. Now, it takes you through the entire lifecycle, all the way from initializing the bot, not just initializing with generic information, but because we have context to the data, we can initialize with specific information, like telling the LLM that you might need to check the invoices and outstanding balance or outages. Through the decision whether the LLM and the bot has the information that they need to answer the question, and if not, we might be pulling it from K2View, we might be asking the user to provide it, through the execution of the retrieval of the data, through the reasoning and validation, all the way through the security and compliance of the data and the governance, making sure that the end result that we're sending to the customer doesn't violate any security constraint. Now, all of that back and forth is all showed here in this show through history tab. And what you're going to see is a lot that happens in order to provide just one answer. This is the initialization of the bot, telling him what he needs to act as. All the way through when we need to provide new data. We don't only provide the data, we also provide the schema definition and how to interact with the data. Telling the LLM, here's the definition of a customer in our system, and here's the definition of how to integrate that customer with other tables and other systems from different technologies and different applications. Even defining each column, what it means from a business perspective. The column can be called A, B, C, D. It might represent something that the LLM needs to understand. And the beauty of that is that it's all done dynamically. Every time the data changes in the source system or the schema drifts and there's new columns, new table, we repackage dynamically this information and send it to the LLM, even teaching the LLM how to interact with the data. It's all part of the data orchestrator. And this is all you can see here. Look how much happened back and forth, all the way just so we can provide an answer. Certainly, I'd be happy to help you, etc., etc., etc. So now that we understand how we do this, let's help David solve this issue. Let's start off by saying, okay, I need to pay my balance. What is my outstanding balance? And the LLM will do its thing through K2View, collect the most up-to-date information. He owes just short of $240. Let's help him pay for it by logging in to the telco payment center. Here's the same amount, it's up to date. I'm gonna pay on David's behalf the balance that he has, and I can go back to the LLM and say, I paid my balance, what's next? And at this point in time, the LLM through K2View AI Data Fusion reached out back to the data, collected the most up-to-date information, validated that the payments were actually paid. He's not just saying that. So you can now respond saying there's still an active network outage in your area and help him how to resolve it. Very personalized, very grounded, provides a much better customer experience. We have time for maybe one more, so I'll do it really quick. Emily. She is also a customer of Elite Telco. She's been enjoying HBO for a while, and her 3-month HBO subscription ended. And she doesn't know that, so today she's trying to watch a show and she's having a problem. Why is my HBO not working? My favorite show is about to start. Okay, she's been a little bit more aggressive in her tone, but she's right, her service is down. And you can see here again, very personalized, grounded, real-time information. Even aligned to the tone of Emily. Hey, we know you want to catch your show. The 3-month free HBO subscription ended last night. This is why she's not aware of the fact it's the first time she's trying to open HBO. Even guiding her through how to resubscribe so she can get a really personalized experience. Okay, so I know we're short on time. What we've seen here, we've seen how the concept of the business entity helps you define and what is your business across the entire enterprise, how we ingest the data, how you unify it, create 360 view of your data, how we organize it and keep it fresh, how we create that data to help with the context that we're sending the LLM, providing up-to-date dynamic context that is relevant to the conversation, all the way through the security of how we ensure that the data that we share is only shared with the people that they're allowed to see. And Ronen, real quick, you're talking about the 6 pillars. I know we're running short of time. So the 6 pillars of success, the concept of the micro database helps with all of them. All the way from the 360 and the lightning fast interaction, providing personalized data, through the security, through the schema drift and the schema alignment. And all of that is done in an extremely low total cost of ownership and very good time to market. If you want to know more, we'll show how we do this in our booth. And then, back to you.
So everybody congratulate Todd. He's the only brave person to do an LLM live demo. It's a very risky thing to try. Don't necessarily try it at home. Yes, you do deserve that. And he also solved 2 customer problems and really make the entire presentation live. Like you saw how enterprise data can actually make a huge difference. So this is a revolutionary approach. Operational data management is critical. It's critical from any aspect of your business, but also to your LLM. And K2View very uniquely is the platform that actually helps you create, manage, and deliver data products in real time for LLMs, but also for other things. I wouldn't give you like a lot of data, but what I want to say is like this is a platform that you can trust. This is a platform that's running in production and running more than 5 billion queries on a daily basis, working in a sub-second execution, and really working in the largest companies in the world. Hod gave you a really good example about customers, but some of you in the audience, you might care about insurance policies or patients, or where the packages are, or credit cards. Data products can be referring to your business entities. Now, beyond that flexibility to basically fit your core business, I do want to highlight that the same technology and the same solution is applicable for an enterprise data augmentation into an LLM, but it's also very relevant for customer 360 and for operational intelligence, really getting real-time actionable insight into things like fraud detection, churn analysis, credit scoring, and things like that. This is the best solution for data masking and tokenization, keeping your data protected. And for test data management, including actually also generating data automatically for you. It is amazing for integration and migration and for more and many other things. We do want to thank you for spending the time with us. Thank you for considering when you're building a GenAI application, leveraging K2View for your enterprise data, and come and meet us in booth 619. Thank you. Thank you.